Before we start the video, a quick word from the sponsor. It's me. Hey, for the 2023 holiday season, we are bringing back 5 of our fan favorite playmats that have sold out, and some of them will be returning in new fashion. Now is your chance to pick them up. Once again, they're all available on redzonerogue.com for pre-order right now. And hey, while you're at it, check out our new playmat that will be available for pre-order. All of these mats should be in stock late November, early December, and they are limited quantity. So if you'd like one, hey, pick one up. All right, on to the video. How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Shadowverse Evolve video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we are talking about one of the most powerful control decks currently in Shadowverse Evolve, and that of course is Haven Aegis. Aegis Haven, Serif Haven, one of those permutations. This is the deck that uses Serif to combo off with Heavenly Aegis, an absolutely insane powerhouse of a card. Do you like control decks? Do you enjoy scouring all of your opponent's followers turn after turn, building up to a powerful wombo combo where you summon some of the most powerful units in the game to crush your opponent in one fell swoop? Well, hey, this deck might be for you. So without further ado, let's go talk about Aegis Haven. All right, and here we have our Aegis Haven deck accessorized appropriately. Let's go on and take it out and break the deck down card by card. Of course, we're going to start off with our beautiful leader here. This is the fancy chase version of Aegis, and she is absolutely gorgeous. Highly recommend picking up these chase leader cards if the fancy bling is your thing. Turns out it is my thing. And we also have the deck proper in these gold matte or gold dual matte dragon shields, as well as our Evo decks sleeved appropriately. We also have our token deck too. We are running, the only tokens we're running in this deck that we care about are these ephemeral moon tokens that are from Kaguya. And we'll talk about these when the time comes, but I just have 3, 1 for each of the Kaguya that we run in our deck. And as usual, I like to keep my sleeves a little bit separate. So here we have our Evo deck, and these of course are the Evo points themselves. I love accessorizing them with beautiful character sleeves. Let's talk about the combo first, because I think it's really important. Most of these deck techs, we typically go through the cards by card type, but I think talking about the Aegis combo first is very, very important. Starting off with Aegis itself. Aegis is an 8-drop, 8/8. We will sometimes play it for the cost, but sometimes for free. And Aegis has 2 play points, or Aegis has a cost of 2 to evolve them, which is very important, or you can discard 3 cards. They have Aura, which means they cannot be selected for spells or abilities, and it says it can't be destroyed by abilities. It can still be destroyed by ability damage though. So anything that does like a board wipe type effect for damage, it can be destroyed from that, and it can be destroyed by attacking into it, sort of. We'll talk about that. We are running full 3 Aegis in the main deck, and we're also running a couple copies of the Evo Aegis as well. And the evolved form of Aegis, they become a 10/10, still with Aura. And it says, on evolve, for the rest of this turn and during each opponent's next turn, this follower doesn't take damage at all. This card can't be destroyed by abilities. So it can't be targeted by spells or abilities, can't be destroyed by abilities, and on evolve, for the rest of this turn and the next turn, your opponent's turn, it also cannot take damage. And you might just be like, hey, that's no big deal. Like, your opponent can just attack past it. They don't have to attack into Aegis. Not unless you give it ward. Guess what? We're going to be giving Aegis ward with this card here, Guardian Sun. We're only running a single copy of this in the deck, and I'll talk about why. And it says, it's a 1-drop amulet with fanfare. Select a follower on your field and give it ward. Hey, we're going to choose that Heavenly Aegis, and we're going to give it ward. And it says, for 2 and rest it, put this card into your cemetery, select a follower with ward on the field, and give it a permanent +2, a +2. Great way to pump up our Aegis. So the idea is that you want to get an Aegis and a Guardian Sun on the field on the same turn, right? giving your Aegis ward and evolving them. So then you have a 10/10 with aura, can't take damage, also has ward, and then can't be destroyed by abilities. So yeah, you just kind of unkillable aside from direct damage from your opponent's spells for that turn. And then you also have a 10/10 that you can make into a 12/12 to kill your opponent with. It's very, very good. That is the Aegis combo. That is the lockout. We'll talk about how you do that. So the main way you do that is with this card, Serif, or in Statute Serif. So Serif says, it's a 6-drop amulet. We're also only running one Serif in the deck as well. This card can't be destroyed by abilities. It can be removed from the game. It can be like bounced and stuff, like returned to your hand with various effects. So keep that stuff in mind, but it can't be destroyed. At the start of your end phase, put a prayer counter on this card. Then if this card has at least 4 prayer counters on it, put it into your cemetery. Give your leader plus 10 health. Search your deck for any 2 cards, put them in your EX area, and those cost 0 points to play. So the point is you get your Serif on, survive for at least 4 counters, right? You heal 10, and then you go and search for your Guardian Sun and your Heavenly Aegis, depending on what the board state is. If your opponent really doesn't have much going on and you have a really healthy life total, you don't think they can storm you out, you can grab 2 Aegis, and they both cost 0, and then you just play them both. And then you can Evo one immediately, and then Evo the next one on the next turn. Yeah, but a lot of the times you just grab these 2 to stabilize the board, make it so your opponent can't attack into you, and just kill them on the following turn. The idea situation is you'd keep some sort of board wipe in your hand, so then you can just board wipe with your Aegis on the field, and he can't be destroyed by abilities, and then you just smash your opponent in the face. That is the Serif combo. We're only running 1 Serif and 1 Guardian Sun because we have ways to go search for these. We have ways to go tutor for these. So, yep, that is that. Let's talk about all of the cards surrounding this shenanigans. We'll start off with the followers. And I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler here. Most of the cards surrounding this are like card advantage and board control. That's what the name of the game is here. We want to gum up the board, control the board, and then kill everything our opponent has. We're going to start off with our 3 of Bell Ringer Angel. This is a very, very good card for this deck. It's a low drop, costs 1, 0/2, Evo it for 2, and when it dies, you get a draw card. It's just really good for gumming up the board and slowing your opponent down. We are not running any of the evolved forms of Bell Ringer Angel because we have more important things to evolve, but still a nice little 3 of for this deck. Speaking of more important things to evolve, this is our Prism Priestess. One of the best cards in the deck is a 1-drop, 1/1 with an Evo for 2. We're running 3 of these, and we definitely want to Evo these cards because, let's go check our Evo deck. Evo deck's pretty simple. We run 2 of everything. So this one is the Prism Princess, and Prism Princess basically is how we tutor for our amulets. So when she evolves, on evolve, search your deck for any amulet, reveal it, put it in your hand. That's it. And she becomes a 2/2. So we're running 2 of these in the Evo deck. And yeah, you literally go search for your Serif. Unless you already have Serif. If you already have a Serif in your hand, well then you're going to go search for one of the other amulets we'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, running the full 3 of Prism Priestess, really great card. We're also running Priest of the Cudgel, good old Baldy McBalderson wiping the board here. We are running 3 Priest of the Cudgel, absolutely great board control card. 3-drop, 3/3 with an Evo for 1. And then for the Evoed form, he's a good old, like I said, Baldy McBalderson, who's going to banish. Baldy McBanishment Balderson. He becomes a 4/4 on evolve, select an enemy follower with 3 defense or less, and banish it, which is great. Banishing is just gets rid of it, and their last words do not trigger. We're running 2 of these in the Evo deck. Once again, great way to help control the board. And then, of course, 3 in the main deck. And then, hey, look, more ways to kill stuff with Jeanne d'Arc. Jeanne d'Arc is a 4-drop, 3/4, Evo for 2, Fanfare, deal 2 damage to each enemy follower on the field, which is great. 2 damage to your entire opponent's board. We are running 3 of her, by the way. And then, once again, you guessed it, for the Evo version, we are running 2. And the Evo version of Jeanne d'Arc does more damage. She becomes a 4/5 on evolve, deal 2 damage to each enemy follower on the field. Give each other follower you control +2 life. Great. So if you play her and evolve her, that's 4 damage to all of your opponent's stuff, and then +2 health to all of your stuff, including her. So she becomes, or no, each other, I'm sorry. She does not pump herself. She's a 4/5, but she does give everything else +2, which is great. So, yeah. That is Jeanne d'Arc, a Haven staple. And then finally, for our followers, we are running Kaguya. So I really like Kaguya. Kaguya is a 5-drop 4/4 with an Evo for 2, and you're probably going to want to Evo her. And she says, fanfare, select an amulet that costs 3 play points or less in your hand and put it onto the field. So you get to play an amulet for free that costs 3 or less. And it says, whenever an amulet is put into your field, select an enemy following your field and deal it X damage. X equals the amulet's cost, which is great. So this is just a great way to get an amulet for free and then to dome something on the field for the cost of the amulet. We are running 3 Kaguyas. More importantly, we have the Evo version of Kaguya. And so she becomes a 5/5, which is pretty big actually. And on evolve, you summon an ephemeral moon token, heal your leader for 3 life. Whenever an amulet is put into your field, select an enemy following the field and deal X damage. X equals the amulet's cost. So you summon an ephemeral moon, which is a 3-cost amulet. So it immediately will deal 3 damage to something of our choosing. And then it also says, while this card is on the field, during your turn, your followers named Kaguya don't take damage. At the start of your main phase, banish this card. So you can basically attack for free with your Kaguya, keep her at that 5 health, and then your opponent has a big old 5/5 Kaguya to deal with. Really, really nice. And, you know, we've killed, maybe multiple things because we played an amulet from hand, we've summoned the ephemeral moon, and we could still also attack with our Kaguya. So yeah, that rounds out our Evo deck. Just once again, great ways to deal with the board and control what our opponent's doing, all the while we're setting up for our Serif Haven combo. All right, let's talk about the rest of the cards. We're running an absolutely disgusting amount of removal. So let's just kind of quickly go over the removal. This one removes our own things. This one is a 1-drop Dark Offering. It has quick. It says select a card on your field, destroy it, heal your leader for 3, draw a card. This is great if your opponent's going to be attacking into one of your dudes anyway. If you want to destroy maybe like your Bell Ringer, so you can draw the card off the Bell Ringer plus the card off of this, is a pretty like decent, all-around card. Destroying your things isn't that big of a deal. For some reason, if you have Aegis out and you want to, target your Aegis, it will not destroy it. The same is true for your Serif because it can't be destroyed by abilities. It will not destroy it. That is in the FAQs. You can go look up the FAQs for those, but you can do that if you want. So, yeah, that's what the Dark Offering is for. We're running a full playset of these, by the way. I like targeting my Bell Ringers if my opponent's being pretty catty about destroying them. Being able to draw 2 cards, heal some, pretty good. Running Angelic Snipe, just a Shadowverse staple. Deal 2 damage to an enemy follower at quick speed. Running 2 of these. We have Blackened Scripture. I would consider this a Haven staple. 2-drop, select an enemy follower on the field with 3 defense or less and banish it. This is quick speed, so just, hey, if your guy has 3 defense or less, it's gone. Next up, we are running Execution. Another just really good catch-all card. 4-drop, quick speed. Select an enemy card on the field and destroy it. You can blow up enemy followers. You can blow up enemy amulets, like the pesky Leonidas banner amulet. Just good stuff. So running actually 2 of these. We have more removal. This is a 4-drop quick spell. This one I like a little bit. Well, it's give and take with Execution. It's similar. So this one says select an enemy following the field, banish it, and heal for 2. So basically, you get to banish your enemy follower, and then you heal for 2. The big differences between the Execution is it can't target amulets like Execution can, but it also heals you. And you don't target amulets all that much, so for those reasons, we're running the full playset of Acolytes Light. Really, really good removal. And then last but certainly not least, we have Themis' Decree. 5-drop, destroy each enemy, or destroy each follower on the field. I was gonna say destroy each enemy follower, but hey, if you have Aegis out, who can't be destroyed by abilities, including Themis' Decree, well, you can Themis' Decree while you have your Aegis out, and then everything dies except for your Aegis, which is great. I'm only running 2 in this deck, but temper it to your metagame. If you feel like you need more board wipe, then you can cut something like one of the Acolytes Lights, or maybe even one of the Dark Offerings. Just cut something if you want to run your full 3 of the Decrees. And then finally, we have our Amulets. we have our 2 of Sacred Plea, which is our card draw amulet. For 1 cost, you can put it in your cemetery and draw 2 cards, or you can pay 2 and put it into your cemetery and draw 2 cards. Just a nice little way to draw some cards. I really like Death Sentence. Death Sentence is a 3-drop amulet, and it says put this card onto the field engaged, and then you can engage it, put it into your cemetery, and select any enemy follower on the field and destroy it. We're running 2 of these. I'm considering running more. I really like this card, especially in conjunction with Kaguya, because you can play this, deal something 3 damage, and then kill another thing on the next turn. So it's a nice little 2-for-1. So I do like this card quite a bit. And then finally, we have 2 of Hair of Illusions. This one's a pretty interesting one. It costs 0, so you don't really get much benefit off of Kaguya, but it does some other stuff that I think is really interesting. So you can rest it and put it into your cemetery and select an enemy follower on the field and engage it. I use the gauge and rest interchangeably. Basically, you can engage this, put it into your cemetery, and then engage an enemy follower. This is really good for making them vulnerable to your attacks, right? So that's what I really like that for. It also has 10 play points and engage it, put it into your cemetery, banish each follower on the field. Now, that's really important. It does kill Aegis. You gotta be careful. Don't kill your own Aegis with your Hair of Illusions, because Aegis says that it can't be destroyed by abilities. Does not care about banishment at all. It can be banished. So yeah, just be careful with your Hair of Illusions. It's a great way to wipe the board. It's a really great way to wipe the board before you have your Aegis online, or if you have your Aegis down in your EX area from your Serif and it costs 0, then you can activate your Hair, banish all followers, and then play your Aegis from your EX area because it costs 0. That is another line of play that you can do in the late game, and the goal here is that you get to the late game. Everything about this deck, aside from our kind of combo pieces here, everything about the deck is all about stalling, killing your opponent's stuff, and just making it generally a really tough time for your opponent to stay in the game. Yeah, this deck is very, very strong. In the Japanese meta, it won a ton of tournaments, which is not surprising, but it takes a very specific type of player to play this deck. I don't think the deck is particularly difficult to understand, but I think it is a deck that requires a lot of patience, both in terms of gameplay and in terms of learning your lines and learning which are the most optimal spells to use to remove your opponent's stuff at the right time, when to spend your play points, when to not spend your play points. A lot of your stuff has quick on it, so you can actually activate these things on your opponent's turn. So yeah, just keep all that in mind. If you stick with it, I think this deck is very, very strong, very powerful in the current Shadowverse Evolve meta. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Heavenly Aegis deck down below. And I think, you know what? At this point, we have covered every single craft in Shadowverse Evolve except for one. So for our next Shadowverse Evolve video, you know what? Maybe let's take a look at Combo Forest. We'll see you then.